Welcome back. Well, today I am joined by Dr. Sharukni, who is here on behalf of RadNet. Well, welcome, Doctor. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for having us on.
Well, I'm really happy that you were able to join me today. Excellent. And I understand that you're coming live to us from Laguna Woods facility.
Yes.
Great. Well, let's talk about the facility and some of the things that you guys have been doing over there to help the patients feel more comfortable coming during a time like COVID-19.
Well, we do two types of things. One of them is the stuff that we actually do at the facility, which is on an hourly basis. We wipe down all of the furniture and anything that the patients may come in contact with upon coming to our facility throughout the center. We wipe down all of the clipboards and the pens after every use. All of our equipment are wiped down and allowed to dry after every single patient. Of course, all of our staff maintain social distancing, wear masks, and at times gloves, depending on the type of procedure we're doing, to make sure that patients are completely safe. The other part of the picture is what we do at the time, the screening that we do at the time of patient scheduling and also at the time of the check-in. So when the patients call to schedule their appointments, we ask them if they've had any testing for COVID and any of the tests having positive. If they have had a positive test, then they cannot be scheduled for a period of 7 days after being symptom-free. And even upon showing up to the facility, we again go through the questionnaire with all the patients, and the patients who have had a positive test, even if they've been symptom-free for a period of 7 days, we put them in an isolation room. So they're not in any kind of proximity to the remaining patients.
Okay. Now, in talking with some other folks from RadNet, I also understand that there's certain types of protocol for as to how many people you have in the facility at one time, people waiting in the waiting room. How are you adjusting to that?
Yes, some of that depends on the size of the waiting rooms. So at Laguna Woods, we have a fairly large waiting room. We can do as many as 3 patients in the waiting room while maintaining this social distancing. However, we do have a lobby just outside where some patients are standing and also outside the building. But because we are limiting our scheduling to a level that enables us to have at no time more than 3 patients in these areas, then we usually don't have an issue. Of course, we do have walking x-rays that are not scheduled. So there is a chance that at times we may have more than those numbers, in which case some patients may have to wait outside of the building and get called in once their appointment's ready. However, I think due to overall low patient volumes during the type of this crisis, we are yet to experience a time that we have several patients showing up at the same time.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. You know, in your experience over the last several months, what are some things that you're finding with your patients? I mean, given the age of our community, we're 55 and over, and so we're some of the highest risk at this time. But now that you're probably seeing more and more people come in, what's some of the feedback that you're getting from them?
Regarding our services or regarding?
Yeah, or just regarding, seeing a doctor, because I know that they've been holding off for so long and now they're finally getting back into the routine of coming in. What are some of the feelings?
Well, I think most of the physician community in this area are doing a lot of virtual visits. And I think patients seem to be quite happy with that. And a lot of them are planning on continuing to do virtual visits for simple things like getting the lab results back or doing a simple check on a simple cough. So I think that's something that's going to continue. And the feedback we're getting is that patients are very happy with the virtual visits. Now, as some patients are finding it necessary to be seen live by their physicians more frequently, we are noticing that physicians' offices are doing a very good job of following the same precautions we are. And patients in general are generally feeling comfortable with that.
Oh, that's good. That's great. And as I mentioned before, they were a little afraid to really come in and keep any of their appointments. So going forward, what's some advice for them to make sure that they don't fall behind?
Unfortunately, that has been one of the side effects of this crisis, that patients are so focused on the potential risks of COVID exposure that they've neglected some of the other health conditions that for many of our population, and more specifically for our senior population, uh, are a much higher risk of causing morbidity and mortality for them. And that is something that through education, and I think through outreach by their physicians, we need to get these patients in and address their much more urgent health conditions that at this point seem to be kind of falling by the wayside.
So in your opinion then, obviously keeping their appointments and coming in for their checkups is important, especially if people were diagnosed with something severe, correct?
Of course. Now, they should still do their homework. They need to call the facility, and just for their own peace of mind, make sure that the facility they're going to is following the strict set of guidelines that lowers their risks. But once they're comfortable that the facility they've been seeing is a place that they will not be exposing themselves to unnecessary risks, then by all means, they should be following their physician's advice and following up on all their health appointments.
Okay, great. And in closing, is there any last minute things you'd like to let our audience know?
I just want to again stress on how important it is to pay attention to the CDC guidelines, follow all the guidelines. They are the at-risk population, and even though we are bending the curve and hope seeing lower numbers, but as we've seen in Europe and other parts of the world, the numbers can very easily go back up. And it is very important that they be diligent and continue to follow the guidelines until hopefully we're past this phase.
All right. Well, excellent. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate your time.
All right. And we'll be right back after this.